Fariha, that was a really interesting interview, I thought, with Sami Shah. What were your key takeaways from that, and how can you relate that to a professional work environment?
हाँ तलत एक तो मुझे जो very refreshing एक चीज जो बहुत motivating थी और inspiring थी is about the fact that he has been following his passion, and he said eventually money followed. So I think that's a great learning. The other thing which was slightly different, how being sort of comedy, and I was just thinking, one, it is very difficult to make money in this country, and actually many countries. Number two, while it's quite important that we say the right things, and especially workplace की हमने बात की कि be right, but I feel कि बहुत ज़्यादा जब box में आप करते हैं कि you should behave in a certain way, you should say the right things all the time, it just stifles the creativity. And so it's quite important to be a little bit more tolerant, to take it lightly, I guess.
Yes.
What about you?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what I took away is the whole thing around being happy. It's so important, right, to be happy in whatever it is that you're doing. And he spoke about the traditional route, and that's what I think. There are thousands, in fact millions of people today who followed a certain path or went and studied a certain thing, and just some of them don't have the older you get, the more risk averse you get, so you don't switch over and you continue in this profession that you're doing because it's now supporting the family. It's it pays you, theek hai, naukri hai, but you're not truly happy going to work every day or doing what you're doing, right? And then there are the few that kind of do that and take the risk. So I think for me it's a lot to do with taking that risk and being comfortable that it may not work out, and if it doesn't work out, theek hai, degree to hai na, I can go back to being a computer engineer. So say for Sami it hadn't worked out, for Sami say he hadn't been able to have a breakthrough with his stand-up comedy or his writing, I think eventually to make ends meet he would have gone back to doing a naukri, right? So I guess that backup is always there. So I think and I think what I also picked up was in terms of personality, it's somebody who can laugh at themselves, and somebody who can be who is okay to take criticism and deal with that and deal with the trolling. And that's very similar also to when you talk about being in an office and you go back to the whole feedback thing. You should be open to feedback on yourself. It's very similar to stand-up comedian audience saying, what you're saying doesn't make sense, we don't find that funny. Similar to a leader in an organization saying something and the employees are giving feedback on, we don't agree with this, with what you said, and you should be able to take that on board.
I think so. And then the feedback is important, but another thing that Sami said, and I feel, I know you've done coaching, I've done coaching, and as a coach, the first thing you believe that the answers or the potential lies in, within yourself. Yeah. So I completely agree that it should not bog you down. And sometimes, unfortunately, our processes, particularly at work, the other day we were laughing about, some of the processes in HR where we put in boxes, where we put it in curves. Sometimes they do seem a bit unnatural, and sometimes people take it very personally because they feel, oh, why are we, said, why is somebody perceiving us this way? And I think the best way is, as Sami said, that the first thing is you learn that, of course, you put in your effort, you go out there, and if you're there, some people will like it, some people will not like it.
Yes.
So being comfortable with that, I think, is also quite important.
Absolutely, absolutely. So so really enjoyed that session. Very refreshing, very different, and a whole different twist on comedy, stand-up comedians, and writing. So really enjoyed that. Which kind of brings us to the end of our show, right, Fariha?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So thank you everyone for watching Comedy of Errors on the Other Side with Fariha and Talat.